Welcome to GamePlug's review of Mafia 3. My name's Jamie and I'll be bringing you Dan's words on what he thought of the game. This is the first game developed by Hangar 3 and published by Take-Two Interactive. Similar to another of Take-Two's series, Grand Theft Auto, Mafia 3 is an open-world, third-person shooter which is focused on a story centering on one man's rise to power in a fictionalized city based on New Orleans called New Bordeaux. To begin the review, I'm going to touch on some of the negatives so we can finish on a good note. In saying that, this is a very good game. If anyone was interested in playing this game, I would highly recommend it, even with the missteps. The most notable issues are the text just popping in and out, the occasional cutscenes where downright freaky staring into plain white eyes happens, or driving into Bayeux and having a plain textured road with no grass on the side. When things get really hectic and there were a few frame rate issues, there were game crashes. In the first 2 days of playing, roughly 18 hours, I had 6 crashes. It generally happened when I was going fast and tried to pause or tried to separate a screen. Those were some of the technical issues I had, but one issue which became a major issue going through the game was the repetitive style of gameplay. I was prepared, as anyone is watching these kind of games play out, that you should probably be prepared for that. However, some may get bored before ever getting deep enough into the story to actually have some fun. Another big issue and something that came frustrating was the lack of fast travel. Early on in the game, it's not too bad. Even into the middle, it's not so bad. And eventually you do get a faster car which eases it for a short time. But as you keep uncovering more and more areas, it becomes a bit tedious trying to go from one task to another when they're on the other sides of the map. Money has a big part to do with Mafia 3. My problem with it is that there's almost nothing to spend it on. The only thing you could spend money on was your arsenal, upgrading your car and improving accuracy of your weapons, etc. There's nothing else. Usually I don't like it when people talk in reviews about how a game should have this or should have that. For this though, I will. In regards to being able to spend money, Mafia 2 gave options of buying outfits and pimping out your car. These are features which are nowhere to be seen. This is something which would have distracted me from the lack of things to do in the world, and unfortunately that just never happened. But now for some positives. The first thing I'll talk about is the world of New Bordeaux. When textures aren't too busy popping in and out of the world, it's greatly designed into 10 different districts. It smartly goes from the poor areas of the Hollow to downtown to the rich estates of Frisco Fields. There's a real sense of class even when you notice in the richer areas that there are more police cars and more police walking the streets, sometimes as much as on every other street. It feels different and it's something I haven't seen in modern open world games for some time. Possibly my favourite thing in this game is the soundtrack. The score is a great listen as well. However, it really puts you in the time and place more than anything. They also use great songs in moments of big action, which is just a joy to listen to. The shooting mechanics in Mafia 3 is solid, and the quick swap and weapon wheel work quite naturally. The controls themselves take a bit to get used to, but after an hour or so you'll feel just fine. One thing that really does need to be said about this game is the brutality of it. The violent knife attacks, the brutal kills, they're some of the most violent I've seen in a long time, if ever. If any developer were to make a Punisher game, I'd pick these guys.
Somebody over there?
Lord above, he was fast!
What it does manage to do is create a great balance of both stealth gameplay and shooting. It doesn't favour one over the other. Getting shot, however, that really hurts. Once you lose a health bar, you need to take an adrenaline shot to get it back, so there's a lot of cover shooting happening rather than just taking on a firestorm of bullets. I did really enjoy the inclusion of your underbosses. Going into the game I was excited to work with Vito. Vito was the character you played as in Mafia 2, and it was good to see him again. Each character in the game really brings something to the table in terms of helping you. Cassandra would assist you in upgrading weapons, Bert would supply you with cars, and Vito would supply you with the muscle. The characters were really well acted and they gave you just enough to understand where they were coming from. It's crystal clear that nobody else in this game is a good guy, even Lincoln Clay himself. While playing him I actually didn't see any redemption. Donovan though, your CIA information gatherer, was a hoot. He was having so much fun during this whole ordeal which gave it some levity. The story was simplistic. It's a basic revenge plot you've seen 100 times before. The narrative though, it did lead to some big set pieces and they felt natural, and that's always much appreciated. As we mentioned at the beginning, Mafia 3 is a good game. It's well balanced and its combat and its great upgrading abilities in regards to your underbosses are pretty cool too. Its severe technical difficulties however really do hold it back from being what is called a truly great game.